So recently, a series I've been reading just finished. It's Platinum End by Tsugumi Ohba and Takeshi Obata, the powerhouse duo that gave us Death Note and Bakuman. I'm gonna rip the band-aid off right now and say this: the series is, in my opinion, the weakest of the three. It's still pretty good, it offers a fair amount of good moments, some great ones even, but overall it falls a little flat. To be fair, it's hard to read this one without comparing it to its predecessors, which doesn't work in its favor. You'll also notice that Platinum End also clearly inspires itself from not only its predecessor Death Note, but also a few other series, and while it does do its own thing, kinda, it never really ends up feeling like anything other than a shadow of what came before it. However, despite a few things holding it back from being truly great, Platinum End still has great things going for it, and I'd like to share a few of those with you today. So let's get into it. But before we get started though, I'd like to welcome you to MangAnalysis, where I do little reviews of the manga I've been reading. If you like what you see and would like to see more, make sure to subscribe and leave a like. Maybe even leave a comment. Let's get a conversation going. I just want to give out a content warning here. This story deals with depression, mental illness, and suicide. I'll only be touching up briefly on this stuff in this video, but if you're really considering checking out this series for yourself, please be advised. Our story starts with Mirai, a teenager who just kinda wants to die. Yeah, here's that content warning. He has no friends, his family's dead, and his adoptive parents are abusive. Mirai decides he's had enough and throws himself off the roof of a really tall building, only to be saved by an angel, Nase. Nase isn't just a regular angel though, she's a guardian angel tasked with finding candidates, aka depressed people who want to die, in order to get them to enter a competition to become God. How to become God, you ask? Be the last candidate standing, or come to a consensus that all participants can agree to. Each participant is given either a white arrow, which can kill anyone, a red arrow, which can control anyone for a set amount of time, or a pair of wings that lets them fly anywhere they want to. Mirai doesn't really want to become God, he just kind of wants to be happy, find happiness, something he's never really had before. But happiness won't be achievable if the other contestants kill him in their quest for godhood. Mirai and friends will have to do their best to win this twisted competition, or die trying. Who will achieve godhood, and what does it even mean to become a god? So the first thing I really liked about this series, and honestly the thing that kept me into it until the very end, was the art. Takeshi Obata is my favorite artist of all time. Death Note changed my life not only because of the story, but because of the art. Being an artist myself, it had a really big impact on me. But now, I genuinely believe that Platinum End might just be his best work. He truly got to be as creative as he wanted to with this series, being able to design all sorts of characters, creatures, scenes, costumes, and so much more. The scale of this story is, in some ways, a lot bigger than what you'll see in Death Note, and the art reflects that completely. Another series drawn by Obata that I thought was really impressive was All You Need Is Kill, since he got to draw alien monsters and grand mecha battles. Mecha isn't really my thing, as you might know, but I can absolutely appreciate the art that goes into it. Platinum End has all that and much more. The fight scenes are absolutely majestic and show off a side of his art that we barely got to see in series like Death Note or Bakuman or Ikaru no Go, and the emotional, dramatic scenes are beautiful. What's fun about Platinum End is the variety in character design. You have regular protagonist hair characters, but then they'll put on awesome costumes and suits, and the overall aesthetic of these characters just gets so much cooler. You have angels, each with their own designs and personalities, sort of like the Shinigami from Death Note, superheroes with awesome mecha-inspired super suits, super exaggerated criminals with weird extra outfits, a samurai-inspired-ish plastic surgery enthusiast, and so much more. To say this series is a feast for the eyes is an understatement. Just like in Death Note, where Obata was tasked with designing the Shinigami realm, this time he was tasked with designing God's realm, and man, is it ever so neato burrito. Like look at that. Just look at it. So yeah, the art was by far the best part of the series for me, and honestly, maybe my favorite manga art ever. The next thing I really enjoyed about Platinum End is going to be difficult to talk about in a spoiler-free video, but it's the ending. The ending to this series was absolutely fantastic, and again, I'm not going to go into spoilers, so I guess you're just going to have to take my word for it. It made this whole series, which I already stated wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, totally worth reading. I felt so excited about how good the ending was that it made me want to reread the whole thing immediately. Throughout this whole series, there's this question that comes back over and over again. What does it mean to become God? What is God? In Death Note, Ohba specifically tried to stay away from giving his own answer to the question, is killing criminals a bad thing? In this series, though, he does give a definite answer to his question. The answer to godhood found in Platinum End is just as big and overwhelming as the question itself, and it's a beautiful thing. I don't want to get too much into it because the less I say, the better it'll be when you finally read it. Seriously though, the series has many flaws, but the ending is not one of them. It's one of those endings I keep coming back to, and that's never a bad thing for me. So, what's so wrong about Platinum End? Why isn't it better, or at least just as good as the duo's last works? Well, it should be clear by now that the series inspires itself greatly from a few others. 3 that come to mind are Death Note, Future Diary, and Eden of the East, which are all great series in their own rights. So, Platinum End is essentially what would happen if Death Note and Future Diary met up, went on a few dates, had a weird threesome with Eden of the East, had a child, then had a really messy separation that left the child lost to the foster system and grew up resenting the world around it. It's just never as good as what it's inspiring itself from, nor does it try to do anything super different from it. One could argue that Star Wars inspired itself greatly from Dune, but one would have to agree that Star Wars, while inspiring itself from Dune, did its own thing and became great in its own way. Platinum End never really managed that. The whole competition thing was taken straight out of Future Diary and Eden of the East, but instead of cell phones, they have angel powers, and those powers are really similar to the Death Note, except for the flying part. While each contestant in Future Diary had a different cell phone that had vastly different powers from one another, each contestant here is given powers dependent on their angel's rank. So the lower ranked angels can only give their contestant 1 or 2 powers, while the ones a rank higher can give their contestant 2 powers, and Supreme Angels, the highest rank, can give their player all 3 powers. Okay, cool. The problem is the ways in which the angels rank up or rank lower isn't super clear and happens sometimes at random. Like it's almost a Deus Ex Machina. Oh no, this character was going to die, but oh boy, his angel leveled up somehow and now is stronger. Woo! The rules aren't set up super clearly like they were in other series, which leaves things feeling a little clumsy. And strategy felt devoid of real meaning when an angel could just read a book to level up and foil the enemy's plans. The other thing lacking is the cast. Okay, that's not entirely true. Platinum End has a number of pretty fun characters. There are a few that come to mind, but the 2 main ones are so boring. Mirai just keeps saying the same thing over and over. I just want to be happy. And that's it. That's the extent of his character development. He goes from being suicidal in the first chapter and wanting to be happy in the second. That's pretty much it. The other character, Saki, has a bit more personality-ish, but only sometimes. Most of the time, she's a blank-faced, sad-looking girl that says a few things, and then once in a while, she'll smile and you're like, whoa, is this it? Is Saki going to do a thing? And then she sits down and looks sad again. I just want to say, though, she's still better than Kairi. Death Note had a smaller cast, but I doubt anyone can argue that the cast was forgettable or boring. L, Light, Misa, Ryuk, Nier, Mello, and Matsuda, nearly 20 years later, still roam in my head rent-free. Same thing for Future Diary. Will anyone watch that show and not immediately think of Yuno when looking back? I doubt it. That's what Platinum End was missing. There are a few characters that really felt interesting, but their time on screen was kept short due to either dying or having their goals resolved. The concept is something I've seen before, but if it would have been given a good cast, I could have overlooked that and enjoyed it nonetheless. Death Note didn't need to tell me that L and Light were brilliant. I saw it with their actions. I saw it with all the ploys they did, and them always trying to top one another. Platinum End had a super intelligent character, but instead of showing me how intelligent he was by making him do really cool things, they just kept telling me he was really smart and I was supposed to just take their word for it. Future Diary didn't have to tell me how important winning these games were. I saw it in how desperate the characters were throughout the whole series. Platinum End had so many characters that didn't even want to win that competition that it essentially just turned into, hey, that guy over there, he really wants to win, so let's not get killed by him. Yeah, let's just hide in my house. It's a shame. It had all the tools to become a great story, but instead just felt like it never really reached its full potential. So, with all that said, should you still check out this series? Look, I don't like bad-mouthing a series. I started this channel so I could gush about the manga I love. And I wanted to love this one. I really did. But unfortunately, it just didn't do it for me. I'm still grateful that it exists. I'm happy I read it. And I still think it was okay. It's just hard to take it for what it is when you know what the creators are capable of. However, it still does a lot of things really well and has lots to offer. I know I only mentioned a few in this video, but trust me, there's still a lot more good things going for it. I just wanted to talk about my two favorite things. It still remains an entertaining story. If you enjoy this type of premise, and if you're looking for anything new to get into, then yeah, I would still recommend this series. Who knows, you may still really enjoy it more than I did. If you're not too familiar with Death Note or Future Diary, or even if you've only experienced one of those two, then you may enjoy it even more. Platinum End is sort of like the last season of Game of Thrones. It's still technically good TV, still better than most things out there. It just couldn't measure up with what came before it. Except, unlike Game of Thrones, Platinum End actually has a great ending. Well, that was Platinum End. I hope you enjoyed this little review, and if you did indeed enjoy it, consider subscribing. This was MangAnalysis, and I'll see you in the next one.